Hi, I'm Sue Malcolm, Animal Reiki Coordinator for the UK Reiki Federation, and welcome to another of our Animal Reiki online talks. A little bit about my background. I'm a Reiki and Animal Reiki Master Practitioner and Teacher. I'm co-author of Understanding Animals, a working guide for Reiki practitioners, and I also run an animal good cause, Friends of Baxter Animal Care. So today's talk should be very relevant for you, whether you are brand new to Reiki and haven't started your journey at all, whether you've perhaps started your Reiki journey and you'd like to work with animals, but you haven't started working with animals. If you are already working with animals, maybe you haven't done any formal training and you're looking for training. And also for those who've been right the way through the Reiki process and Animal Reiki, and you're perhaps wanting to teach and be recognised for your teaching or already practicing teaching, and you would like to know what we were looking for within the UK Reiki Federation for recognition of future teaching courses. So I'm going to put some slides on now. I'll talk you through those and then I will join you later. So just a little bit about why we are offering Animal Reiki membership. Firstly, Animal Reiki is growing enormously. But because of that, there are a proliferation of new training courses, and some of those are really good, some of them are not as good. And so the UK Reiki Federation, along with 8 other organisations within the Reiki Council, all got together and decided that we wanted to collectively raise the standards of animal Reiki training and practice, and basically have a benchmark at which all the different organisations are agreeing this is what we would expect for practitioners who are working with animals in terms of delivering competence, safety, legality, and being totally ethical in their work. So we've developed these standards, and it's really important that we have these. And one of the reasons why they're so important is that we as a profession are looking to gain veterinary respect and support, and in order to do so we have to have good quality standards, and until this process no standards existed for Animal Reiki, so this has all been very new. But we are looking forward to taking our journey forward and also developing and providing the scientific evidence that the veterinary profession are looking for. We also want to generate awareness of Animal Reiki as a profession in its own right. We don't see it as an add-on to Reiki. It isn't a case of being able to provide Reiki and then just applying it to animals. There's a lot more to it when you're working with animals. You have to understand animals too. And we see this as an animal therapy profession. We also want to recognise and publicise practitioners who do good quality training, and also recognise those who have training courses that also deliver this quality. And so we have set standards and we have set requirements, and what we're offering is membership for anybody who would like to achieve those standards. And if you're interested, please have a look at our talk, which is specifically about the requirements for membership. We talked about the different standards that we've developed, just to mention that they are based on standards that we've developed at a national occupational standard level, which is a level 3 qualification. And that level 3 qualification will be available either later this year, that's 2021, or early 2022. And it's the key elements of that have been used to develop criteria for what we see as essential for an Animal Reiki practitioner at a level 2. So what will this talk include? First of all, learning Reiki first. So if you're brand new to Reiki, it's absolutely essential that you have to learn Reiki before you learn Animal Reiki. We're going to look at what animal training should include, and then if you are looking for a course, you'd have a good idea as to what you want the course to include, and it gives you a few questions that you might want to ask. Similarly, if you're running your own training, these would be aspects that you want to make sure you're including somewhere in your training. Another aspect that we're going to look at is considering your animal Reiki vision. So where do you see your future? How do you want to build animal Reiki into your life? Is it just something that is a hobby, or is it something that's more career orientated? So we'll look at different options, and also in relation to that we'll have a look at how animal Reiki possibly supports other roles, and also choosing an animal course, an animal Reiki course that will provide you with what you need. We will touch on supporting existing training and experience, and then I'll summarise with just member benefits of being an animal Reiki practitioner with us. And then there will be opportunities for questions if you want to contact us outside this talk. We have frequently asked questions on our website relating specifically to animal Reiki, and we also have the option for you to just email us. So if you have animal Reiki specific queries, you can send those to animalreiki@reikifed.co.uk. So, learning Reiki first. So for those of you who haven't yet started your Reiki journey, this is going to be really important for you. And it's essential that you do learn Reiki first, because there's an awful lot in the basics that you have to learn before you can start applying this to working with animals. So for example, first of all, understanding what Reiki actually is. How are you going to describe it to somebody? Understanding how you apply it, the history. The Reiki history isn't taught in your animal Reiki, so you need to learn that in your basics, along with what we call principles. And there are 5 principles, and these are really important, not just in Reiki, but in our lives generally. And everybody benefits from these. They are specifically taught in Reiki, but as I said, they are very beneficial for everybody, and you'll apply them to yourselves, whether you're working with Reiki, with animal Reiki, and just in your general life once you've learned them. You'll learn how to carry out treatments, so you'll understand hand positions, understanding how to write up treatments, how to gather information, how to communicate with somebody about a treatment and what they should expect, what happens in a session. And all of these are really good basics for then you following it through. And also, when you're working with animals, sometimes you do have to help the owner or the carer in order to give the animal the maximum benefit that the animal is looking for, or the animal needs. So you do sometimes have to work with people and be insured with people, so you have to have your level 2 Reiki training. You want to know what the energy feels like. So the more you practice on yourself and the more you practice on other people, the more you will develop your understanding of how the energy feels and how it's working with you, because it can be different from one person to another. Attunements are part of your Reiki training. Sometimes there are attunements that are given in animal Reiki, but there are none that we require as part of training. It's just some teachers perhaps pull them in. And your attunements have to be in person in Reiki for recognition by the UK Reiki Federation. At level 2 training, you will learn symbols and distant healing. And whether you're working with people or with animals, these are going to be really crucial. And distant healing can be especially useful if you're working with animals that are physically a distance away, but also animals that perhaps are aggressive and you may not want to be too close to them to start with, or at all, maybe. Ways to offer Reiki and different techniques. So you'll learn these as part of your training, and then again you can apply some of them to animals, some of them to people, and develop as you go to determine which work best for you and which you like. Practicing your skills is the most important thing, and I'm aware of many students who start learning is, oh, when can I do level 2, when can I work with animals? And actually it's much more important to spend time developing your skills, practicing, and the more you practice, the more you will develop your intuition also. And this is vital when you're working with animals, because animals are not going to say to you, oh, I felt some tingling here, or oh, it was warm over my shoulder. You're going to pick that up from the treatment. So you, or the session as we call it when we're working with animals. So you want to make sure that you've practiced and you feel really comfortable and confident offering Reiki to yourself and to other people. And then once you've learnt Reiki, you'll then go on to learn Animal Reiki. So you can do it in stages. You could learn level 1 of Reiki and level 1 of Animal Reiki, and then level 2 Reiki and level 2 Animal Reiki, or you can do all of your Reiki and then all of your Animal Reiki afterwards. There's no fixed pattern. There are lots of different ways that you can do it, and it fits in very much with your style of working and how you want to develop. But once you've learnt your Reiki and you're going on to Animal Reiki, then Animal Reiki teaching should teach you how to apply what you've learnt most effectively with animals. And it should include understanding animals, because this is crucial. So let's have a look at what the Animal Reiki training should include. So if you're looking for a course and you want to know which are good courses and which are not, then a number of them will identify beforehand what the course includes. Here are just some of the examples that we think are really important to be included in your training. And it may well be that they're not stipulated as specific topics, but they're questions that you can ask, or they're aspects that you can perhaps gather from the information that's available. So first of all, preparing well for Animal Reiki sessions. So when you're working with people, you can be speaking to them on the phone, and you can arrange to arrive at wherever you're offering your Reiki sessions at a certain time, and you describe what's going to happen. It's a little bit different with animals. You want to gather information about the animals. You also want to determine where is the best place for that animal to deliver the treatment. So if we just start here with what we've got on the slide. So gathering information is a key element of the Reiki session, and you're going to want to gather enough information in advance to help you to know how is going to be the best way for you to suggest offering that treatment and where it's going to be. You want to explain the session, especially if the person concerned has never had Reiki themselves and doesn't really know much about Animal Reiki. You want to explain what happens, how the animal may respond, what are the likely outcomes, whether there may be a number of sessions. There are lots of things that you want to make the owner or carer aware of in advance. You'll need to complete some paperwork. So there will be your Animal Reiki client information form and consent that you'll want to discuss again, and then arrangements for the Reiki session. And this is where we'll start considering what is going to be the best for the optimum outcome for that animal concerned. So the location, for example, so we have a horse here in the image, so let's talk about a horse, for example. So is it going to be best for the horse for the Reiki to be given to him or her in a field, in a paddock, in a stable? What's going to be best? What's comfortable for them? And what does the situation relate to? It may well be that actually the situation relates to when they go for a walk and they reach a certain area, and at that area they're not happy. So gather the information and make sure that you are aware of these sort of aspects. So I'm just giving you a few examples, but there are more, but these are the type of things that you want to be making sure you're including in your training. So the reason for Reiki is obviously you need to know that. Aspects of your paperwork are also topics such as temperament and character. And if you have a look on our website under the free resources element from the Animal Reiki section, you'll find there our form that explains everything that we would expect to be on your client information form that you're going to gather about the animal in advance. The animal's physical, mental and emotional state. You're wanting to know in your training how to work with animals in different states. If you are doing training where you're working hands-on or hands-off, but the animals are there with you, so you're working in person with the animals and it's not an online course, then often in your training the animals to start with are going to be lovely and friendly and they're used to Reiki, but you do need to make sure that as your training develops you are working with animals with different issues and different situations. So also you want to make sure that your course is giving you knowledge on when and when not to offer Reiki. So sometimes it may be that Reiki is appropriate, sometimes it may be appropriate but not immediately there and then. So ethical, competence, health considerations, and there will be situations where actually Reiki is great as a support, but at that moment in time, there may be some other care or therapy that is important and is going to really help the animal to progress more quickly. So be aware of these types of issues as well. Knowing when to advise, suggest or discuss veterinary checks and care, other therapy support and care, and discussing with the owner or carer whether Reiki may help them. So it isn't just what you're discussing here, but it's how to do it as well. So all of these types of subjects are quite straightforward, they're quite common sense, but it's really good if your training does go through this with you. Okay, on to the next and absolutely key aspect, understanding animals. So there should be theory, there should be practice. And it's fine reading the information or being given it, but the more you put it into practice, the more you learn, the more you develop, and the more beneficial it's going to be. You want to make sure that that animal has your trust and has your confidence and sees that confidence in you, because if you're confident, it gives the animal confidence. If you're not, they're not. So if you're not used to working with animals, you want to make sure that your training is giving you advice and help in terms of how to make the animal feel at ease and how to make sure that you are feeling confident to be able to share that. This will very much affect your approach towards the animal, and dependent on the animal itself and their situation, their temperament and various other factors, that will determine your approach to the animal physically, but also your approach to the Reiki and how you're going to choose how to deliver it. Recognizing and responding to body language is absolutely key. You need to make sure that you understand the body language and make sure that if an animal is letting you know that they're not comfortable, that you're aware of that, and then you're going to step back and let them get into a stage where they're relaxed again, rather than taking it to that next level where they become more frustrated. Very basic anatomy. So it really is very, very basic, but for communication, it's very useful to have limited knowledge. And for example, we have a horse here, so again, I'll use the horse. If you are working with a horse and the owner or carer says the horse is absolutely fine being touched, really friendly, no problem, just don't touch the withers, everything else is fine, and you think, gosh, I don't know where that is, and you put your hand straight away on the withers or near to it, and that person may be thinking, did she not listen to what I said, or does she not know, or he know? And this is really key. So you want to get the confidence of that other person, and this is why it's very useful just to know the real basics so that we come across and we do have some awareness. We have what we need for Reiki and we have what we need for appropriate communication. Specifically, there will be legislation that relates to us as Reiki practitioners, there will be guidance, there will be safety requirements, so it's important for those to be discussed. And also there may be other supportive techniques in the training, and this very much depends on what style of Reiki you wish to learn. So there are styles working with people and working with animals, the different styles of teaching, and it can be that you take and prefer a style which is very meditative, and you just go into a completely serene, quiet moment where you are merging your energy with the animal, and that is all that you do. You may, on the other hand, find that your Reiki works better for you because of your style and because of how you are. If you are what I describe as implementing more of an active Reiki. So this may be where you bring in visualization, potentially even a little bit of animal communication. And I want to stress that these are not pure Reiki, but they are tools and techniques that work alongside the Reiki, and they work very effectively. If you do in your training just learn a little bit of animal communication and think, yeah, I really like this. This is going to benefit me. Then please do make sure that you follow up with an animal communication course, because there are specific qualifications in animal communications as well. And I think it is wonderful to work with Reiki, but it's all individual, and it's what as you or somebody else feels that is right for them. So just have a think about the style of Reiki that you want to learn, and that can also help you to move towards the right teacher. And when we learn Reiki, we become intuitive, and to a greater extent, and we trust our intuition, and that's important. And as a result of that, you will very much have a feeling for who feels like the right teacher. So use that and go with that as well. Okay, so on to your Reiki vision. So this is looking at where your Reiki working with animals may take you. Do you have any ideas? If you have no idea at the moment and you're just thinking, I love animals, I want to work with animals, I don't know how, but I love the idea of giving Reiki to them, that's fine. Go with your journey and see where it takes you, because we don't know where we're going to be. When I started learning, I didn't expect to be teaching Animal Reiki and heavily involved in leading a project to set training standards. I just thought, I quite like this, not sure where it's going to take me, but we'll see. And here we are. So go with the flow, go with your journey, and as you progress, you'll find what feels right for you. You may, on the other hand, actually have ideas already. So you may have some thought, is the Reiki with animals just for personal interest? Is it for your own animals so that you have a stronger Reiki connection with them? Is it for a professional service that you want to deliver going forward? Are you wanting Animal Reiki to be part of a career, perhaps built in with other animal therapies? Or is it so that you just have more expertise when clients ask you if you can offer Reiki to them as well as their animals? It may be a support to another animal role. And I have to say, over the last couple of years, I have increasingly been aware of other therapy practitioners asking for Animal Reiki training and showing an interest in learning. So it may be that they are currently working with any animal, or specifically equine or canine, and they're perhaps working very much on behaviour, but they want to build Reiki in. It may be that they're a dog groomer. I've had a number of dog groomers who've shown interest. T-touch, massage, various other therapies are seeing that Reiki has a real benefit because it does help the animal to relax. And if the animal is relaxed, then it can help them with lots of other therapies that you may want to use as well. So you may want alternatively to consider volunteering at a rescue centre. This is something that I do a lot. Within our good cause, we go out to different rescue centres, and my volunteers help in terms of offering Reiki at the different centres, and it is wonderful. And it also helps just to share what Reiki can do. And we are sometimes surprised by how the animals respond, and when the staff in the centres see as well, and there's talking to each other and saying, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen what the Reiki's done? It starts to get the word out in terms of how positive it has been in terms of relaxing the animals. So talking about Reiki supporting a different role, or perhaps using it in a rescue centre, here are just a few ideas of other therapies that Reiki works really well with. So we have a dog groomer, training, and by all means, when you are developing your Animal Reiki, you want to optimize your understanding of animals. So if there's an opportunity to help at a stables or a cattery, or with some dog training, dog walking, a dog rescue, anything like that that you think may help to build your training, and your understanding of animals, then once you feel ready to do that, that's a really nice extra role to do, which gives you extra information and also enables you sometimes to apply Reiki if it is welcomed and appreciated by those who are looking after and caring for the animals. So we have the training on the top row in the middle, and then the dog walking. So a number of dog walkers are also starting to think about Animal Reiki. Anything relating to veterinary nurse or care assistant care. Vets themselves don't give Reiki typically, but veterinary support staff and veterinary nurses do and can. We have a cat array, which could be any rescue. I have some volunteers who specifically like working with birds of prey, and so they've helped at a birds of prey centre. And then the last picture is just indicative of working with horses, perhaps in their training. So those are just a few of many ideas. You may have a desire to teach and set up your own animal centre. If you do, then I would definitely say that you are looking towards wanting serious professional credibility, and so considering going on to do National Occupational Standard training and having recognition at that level is definitely something to look at. Specific animal species you may be interested in, as I've just said, with regard to the birds of prey, or it may be that you absolutely love reptiles and they're your speciality. So whatever you learn in your Reiki training, it may well be that you need to do additional training just to understand the specific animals that you're working with if you don't already have that knowledge. That's going to be important for you. So what I'd say is, do you have a dream? And do you have a plan? If you don't, and you're just going with where it takes you, absolutely fine. If you have a dream and you have a plan, all I'd say is be flexible. Sometimes Reiki will take you in a direction that you don't expect, but actually it ends up being the best way. When you look back at it and think, I'd never thought of doing that, but actually, you know, that was really, really good and it's helped me. So choosing an Animal Reiki course. Do you need full training? Are you starting from scratch? Or perhaps have you done some training but you haven't done enough, and you perhaps don't know much or anything about the understanding animals, but you've applied Reiki to animals who are nice and friendly, and you've learned lots of different techniques and you're comfortable with those. So have a think about what you need, what you don't need, and where you may need extra help. There are different considerations. So it may be that you want to have additional training, which is formal training from a teacher, or you may want to learn with resources that you find yourself. Think about whether you're at level 1 or 2 and want to do it graduated, or whether you want to do all of your Reiki and then all of your Animal Reiki. As long as you are trained to level 2 in Reiki, how you work on your Animal Reiki is entirely up to you. And there are benefits both ways, but you're not going to be slowing things down by doing all of your Reiki and then all of your Animal Reiki. In fact, that's probably a faster route because you've built up more experience on your Reiki. So we will have Animal Reiki practitioner course approval coming soon, and then we will have approved courses on our website. We don't at the moment, but we are working on the application form at this moment, and it may well be when you see this presentation that it's already live, so please have a look. There will be a need to gain teacher approval before you have course approval, because you have to be approved obviously to deliver the course as well as just the course itself. So also something else to look for if you're thinking about which training would be good. We would suggest in-person training, especially if you're new to working with animals, because your teacher will then be able to give you the guidance in terms of how you're working with the animals, how you may approach them differently, how you may use different techniques that you may bring in. There are lots of different things that they can observe and then guide you on and give you some help and instructions, which you may not necessarily get on an online course unless there's some way of you being observed distantly. And then it's important also that your teachers for Animal Reiki have a lineage that goes back to Yuzui. So in other words, they need to have had Reiki training that goes back to Yuzui. So that's looking at aspects for if you're starting training, if you haven't done any, so if you have done some training already and you want to build on this, especially if it's relating to understanding animals, then there is the publication which I mentioned right at the very beginning, which is Understanding Animals, a working guide for Reiki practitioners. We've had really, really, really positive feedback. So it's only £8.99 plus postage, so it's a really good publication that has lots of information that you'll need to know. But instead you can, of course, do your own studies and research. You could ask a teacher just to take you through this part. You mentioned the booklet here, or the UK Reiki Federation will be setting up a workshop on understanding animals. It's been very clear from our members that this is something that is demanded. So there is a talk coming up on understanding animals, which is happening February 8th. But for those of you who are listening to this past that date, then you'll be able to find it on our website. And the workshops will be an ongoing activity. So again, do have a look at our website, and when they're up and running, they'll be available for you to book. So finally, why might you want to become an Animal Reiki practitioner member with the UK Reiki Federation? So firstly, recognition and professional credibility, which in its own is a massive thing. And if we're going to take Animal Reiki forward the way that we intend to, then this is going to differentiate those practitioners who have perhaps done a 1099 course on the internet that didn't include a lot of practical work and didn't include any legal aspects or understanding animal, compared to those who have done really quality training. So membership is included within your Reiki membership. There is a one-off application fee for your Animal Reiki, because it isn't just a case of submitting certificates and insurance and lineage. You do have to fill in a questionnaire, which does ask a number of questions, and that is included in our talk about thinking about becoming an Animal Reiki practitioner. You would have a one-off UK Reiki Federation certificate, sorry, an annual UK Reiki Federation certificate and a one-off Reiki Council one. So the annual UK Reiki Federation one would be renewed free of charge each year for Reiki members. And you would have a free publicity on our website directory, so that anybody who's looking for an Animal Reiki practitioner would be able to find you. You'd be first to hear about any new developments in relation to Animal Reiki, and there are member-only events and opportunities which will be coming up, and you will be offered those. So we are the largest organisation in the UK, and at the time of this presentation, we are currently the only one offering Animal Reiki membership, although I'm sure there will be others who follow before too long. And we are specifically very keen on education and research as areas that we see as our leading priorities. So thank you very much, and just a reminder, if you have any questions, please send them to animalreiki@reikifed.co.uk if they're specific to Animal Reiki. But if you have more general questions that you'd like to ask us about Reiki or about the UK Reiki Federation, then please send them to admin@reikifed.co.uk. Thank you. And that is the end of this talk. So please do have a look at some of our other talks, and we will have other events and activities coming forward in future weeks, months and years. So thank you very much from me. Goodbye.